I was raised in West Philadelphia on 61st Street, 61st and Lansdowne. I have one sibling, an older sister. She's 2 years older than I am. My parents were from Philadelphia. They were professional people. As I was looking through some photos last night, preparing for the interview, I came across some old photos of them, and they were just such a sharp couple. They were professionals, they had a lot of integrity, which kind of made me realize why a lot of my peers when I was younger thought I was stuck up, because we had so much pride, and I think they wanted the best for their kids. Dad worked for the Pennsylvania State Employment Service, and my mom was originally a school teacher, went on to get her master's in clinical psychology, and she became a guidance counselor. The only part of my family line that I recall going back to the migration is on my mother's side. Her mother came up from North Carolina, and I recall when I was maybe 10, 12 years old, going down to North Carolina, meeting some of her siblings, who I guess were my great aunts. They were considered great aunts. My mom played the piano. She played in school for the school assemblies, and I remember her playing for the Sunday school at the church. I never associated her with playing any music in particular. I remember she used to have a lot of sheet music around from different shows like My Fair Lady and Music Man, and I remember seeing those sheets of music. And I remember her playing some spirituals in church. One of her favorite tunes was Blessed Assurance. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that was a tune that she requested to be played at her funeral. And I asked Trudy Pitts to play it, and she did. This was Penn Memorial Baptist Church. This church has really evolved through the years. It started out as a small, tiny church in West Philadelphia. They moved to a larger building a few blocks away. Now they're located in Winfield. I think they're at 54th and Winfield Avenue, much larger building. Now this is funny. We had records, but I don't recall either one of my parents playing records. Occasionally occasionally my mom would play the piano, this piano, as a matter of fact. And I used to like to tinker with the piano. We used to listen to, and this was only during, I'd say, breakfast time. The radio was on. And I remember the family listening to, I think it may have been either WIP or WPEN.
Middle of the road station.
Yeah, kind of middle of the road. So I got used to hearing Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin and those guys. And it wasn't anything that was impacting me musically, but it was just kind of what I was used to hearing.
And this would have been like the late 50s, early 60s we're talking about?
Yeah, this would have been, probably late 50s. Most nights, actually, at some point, especially when I was younger, we would all sit in the living room with our one television and choice of, actually, I remember before you had a choice of UHF or VHF, and you just had three.
Right. 3, 6, and 10.
And we would, the parents would usually decide what we would watch, but we would all enjoy watching TV. I remember on Sunday evenings we'd watch Ed Sullivan. I think that was Sundays.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we'd watch Ed Sullivan. I was really into cowboys, so on Saturday mornings I'm watching The Rifleman which I still do actually. When I can, I'll watch the Rifleman. I watched all the cowboy.
Lone Ranger.
Oh yeah, yeah. Just I wanted to be a cowboy at one point. I had my gun and holster. I remember one Christmas, my parents bought me a Rifleman rifle, and I was just so thrilled. You know, I don't think that would work too well these days.
Yeah, right.
Go outside and play with my rifle.
Right.
My musical training started, and I remember this vividly. I was I think I was in fourth grade. I was attending the Overbrook Elementary School. And occasionally we would have a special assembly where the orchestra would perform. The elementary school actually had an orchestra. Not too common these days. But on one of the tunes, they featured their trumpet player. And I thought the sound that he got from his trumpet was just so brilliant and moving. And I thought it was cool, the little curled gold brass instrument, and he's playing. I'm like, wow, that is so nice. So, make a long story short, I inquired about joining the orchestra, and the school had instruments. Unfortunately, they didn't have any more trumpets, but they did have an E-flat alto horn, which is basically kind of a marching band instrument. That's all they had. I took it, I played it. I was playing pretty well, but once they got a trumpet, in fact, no, they didn't get a trumpet. My parents eventually bought a trumpet for me. And I eventually started taking lessons from the guy that I heard in the orchestra. His dad was a trumpet player. And I heard his dad gave lessons, so I studied with his dad for a few years. I was 10 or 11. I studied trumpet from elementary all the way to my first year of college. Yeah.
Okay.
Wasn't too thrilled about that in high school because they felt like I should be playing football.
Right.
And I did play football for a short time before I realized at some point they were going to kill me because it was getting really rough. So yeah, I would get kind of, not bullied, but teased a little bit when I'm playing during the games, you know, because they felt like, you know, they could use you on the team.
You probably saved your brain cells.
Oh, and a couple of limbs,
Yeah, right.
yeah. I think from some of the repertoire we played in the orchestra, which was usually classical in nature, it made me more familiar with some of the classics, a lot of the Mozart and Brahms and stuff like that. So I grew to really appreciate that type of music. My trumpet studies became a little, what can I say? I wasn't enjoying studying as much. It wasn't fun. It was more of a task because there was always music to learn. So I'm learning the music, but I rarely felt like I'm enjoying this because it was never just fun the way I would interpret fun. It was a responsibility. I got to learn this for the next rehearsal or the next program.